Hello everyone, how's it going today? My name's Trappy, and today I'm going to be showing you my Dragon's Approach Florian deck, or whatever you want to call it. So, let's go over first off how fast I'm going to do, or whatever you want to say. This deck is meant to be burn capable. Literally, Dragon's Approach is an army deck, as I call it. What is Dragon's Approach? It basically has this effect right here. The effect of Dragon's Approach basically states a deck can have any number of cards named Dragon's Approach in here. For basically, we want to play 30 of them. So keep that in mind, there's 30 of them, and this deck is not cheap. This deck alone right now costs about, for just the Dragon's Approaches alone, they cost $2 a piece. So relatively about $60 just for Dragon's Approaches. Keep that in mind while you're building this deck. You can make this deck very expensive very quickly by playing the opposite version of it, the Future Sight version, which is about a $70 card right now. But going on from that, this deck costs, as the recording of this video, 10-30 of 2024, it costs $296.18. That's how much the deck costs. That's with all the foils in here and everything else. This deck is very powerful. But let's go into it. Dragon's Approach, let's go into the effect of it and then start going off the commander's effect, and then you'll realize, then we'll go into the actual stuff. Dragon's Approach states, Dragon's Approach deals 3 damage to each opponent. You may exile Dragon's Approach and 4 cards named Dragon's Approach from your graveyard. If you do, search your library for a dragon creature card and put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Here's how it basically works. So let's say I'm playing with, let's say I have 4 copies in the graveyard and I play my last copy. That's how it works. You exile 5 in total. And relatively, since we have 30, we can run the Dragon Approach effect of exiling 5 6 times total before your deck stops. But let's go on to the actual commander and why this commander. And the reason I chose this commander was for a very particular reason, but it was because of Josh Lee Kwai from Game Nights. I love this commander, and particularly I loved it in general, so we relatively had it where this was just one of my favorite cards to, I just decided, I might as well use it, and it's very cheap. But it's a first strike commander for Rakdos and Red. The other commander that I was going to choose is in here that I was tempted to choose, but I'm like, we might as well go with Red Black. But at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the total amount of life your opponent's lost this turn. Exile one of those cards face down, put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. You may play that exile card. So here's how the simple effect works. So a Dragon's Approach, let's just say. Dragon's Approach deals 3 damage to each opponent. On 1 copy of Dragon's Approach, we get to look at the top 9 cards of our deck. Let's say this in another way. This card, let's say if we had like a lightning bolt, deals 3 damage. If we deal any amount, we're going to be searching through our deck, making it easier for ourselves to basically keep on going. And then we can exile cards. If I am correct, and I might be wrong on this, but that allows us to go through our, basically go, exile land, play for free. And that's only on our land per turn if we haven't. So, relatively, that's basically the synergy with those two. But let's go into the actual stuff. For our burn, we're playing a Smoldering Egg. Gives us a dragon on the back, but we basically get to go from there. If you wish to read it, you wish to read it. And then going on, we got a Crucible of Fire, just an Anthem card allowing us to pump up our creatures. For copying our Dragon's Approaches, we got a Pyromancer Flames, or Pyromancer Ascension. It just allows us, when we basically cast an instant sorcerer with the card from the graveyard, put a quest counter on it. Basically, if it has the same name in the grave, so if we have a Dragon's Approach in the graveyard, we can put a quest counter on it. Then when we have 2 or more quest counters on it, then we get it going. Then for our draw package, we got a couple cards for that. We got 1 copy of Seize the Spoils. I was deciding, so one of my thing on this was I was either deciding Faithless Looting or Seize the Spoils. I went with Seize the Spoils mainly because of the treasure generation, making us easier and making it more easier. And plus also discarding a card, we could discard our Dragon's Approaches so we can get them more in the graveyard. And by the way, for Dragon's Approach to kill people, you have to have about 14 Dragon's Approaches to pull off before it kills everyone. Then we got Ashling Flame Dancer. This draws, but also makes our red mana not lose. And then we can cast or copy an instant sorcery. Whenever we do that, it discards a card to draw a card. If it's a second time, this is basically second time, you deal 2 damage to each opponent and creature they control, and then the third, you get 4 red mana for free. That's literally busted, which means we can run through half of our deck pretty quickly. We got an Unexpected Windfall. Just instead of creating Spoil creating 1, it creates a second treasure for 4 mana total for the same amount. Then another creature in our deck, Bonehorde Dracosaur. This one just has first strike and flying. At the beginning of our upkeep, we may exile the top 2 cards of our library. Then we may play them this turn, but it's really the second effect we want. If you exile a land card this way, create a 3/1 red dragon, red dinosaur. If we exile a non-token creature card this way, we get a treasure token. More treasure generation, gotta love that. Then this is, I'm going to say, one of the most, could be a kill spell. This card is called Thrumming Stone. Thrumming Stone just has spells you can cast have Ripple 4. Basically, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and if you find a card with the same name, you basically can. I have dealt almost enough for kill damage. The problem with it is that it's not guaranteed, but let's just say if this is on the board for anyone who wants to counter this deck, this is the card to counter. If you see on board, you better be prepared for them to go hard, because they're not going to stop, because it usually has to happen on turn 8, because they'll play 1 Dragon's Approach, go through it, keep on going. And if they have multiple in hand, it gets even scarier. Then we got a Null Spine Dragon. Basically, it just discards your hand and draw cards equal to the damage dealt to target opponent this turn. You basically just do this on your main phase 2 when you dealt everyone so much damage. Then we got a Skyline Despot. Just gives the monarchy to people, which makes it more fun because you're actually making people fight, and then they're gonna be like, ooh, I want the Monarch more than killing you. And it keeps you, but it gives us a 5/5 red dragon. If we can hold it until our upkeep, we get a 5/5 dragon. Then the last card to give some draw, we got some Blood for the Blood God. Basically, all it does is just Blood for the Blood God. Costs 1 less for each creature that died this turn, but discard your hand, draw cards, and it deals 8 damage to each opponent. So it's really potent, but the only problem is it's a 11 drop card. So it could work, it's just very expensive on a draw spell. Going on to the ramp package, because we gotta have ramp. We got about 13 pieces of ramp. I know I'd rather put more in here, and I gotta look at this stuff, but I'm still trying to figure out everything. Going on from it, we got 1 copy of Dark Ritual, a Locket of Yesterday. This is a good card because it allows us to, if it's spells cost 1 less to cast for each spell that is named. Going on from that, it's basically just a discount spell. Classic Soul Ring we gotta play in the deck. It's needed for this deck. 1 copy of Arcane Signet, 1 copy of Fire Diamond, 1 copy of Ruby Medallion, and 1 copy of Thought Vessel. These are basically our basic artifacts that are playable. This one gives us no maximum hand size, and the red spells cost, basically making discounts happen tomorrow. Going on from that, we got a Candleline Orb, but Dragon Kind. It just gives our dragon creature spells haste if we use the mana for a dragon. Going on, we got Herald's Horn, just giving a creature type, and then we could just flip over the top, look at the top card. If it's a dragon, you could play it, or you can add it to your hand and then draw as well. 1 copy of Solemn Synachron. This one just gives us a basic land search. Stonekill Artist. Oh, this one can literally recycle you can make basically not infinite tokens, but if you discount your Dragon's Approaches to 1, you could just start playing these and make Stormkill Artist just repay it, and you're getting more tokens than not, and it gets scary quickly because you're just creating more treasures. Then another token treasure generator, Goldspan Dragon. Flying haste, and then whenever he attacks, we get create a treasure token, or it becomes a target treasure, and then gives us 2 mana for any treasures that we create. Then we got 1 copy of Ancient Copper Dragon. This is where basically most of the deck's price comes into play. This is about a $90 card, I do believe. It says right now, as of 9-30 of 2024, I gotta say that again, it's at $69 on TCG Player. Nice price. But it's just whenever you deal combat damage to a player, you create a number of treasure token, you roll a d20 and then get the result of treasures. Then for some recursion, we got 1 copy of Ancient Brass Dragon. It deals, and then we basically deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. When you do, put any number of target creatures with total mana X or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield, where X is the result. It just keeps on going. It's just basically roll it. Oh, I'm going to put these cards onto the battlefield for free. Then we got Bladewing the Risen. Enters battlefield, you may return target dragon permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. We sometimes want to do this instead because we have dragon, particularly like Ancient Copper Dragon or a bunch of others that get very scary and very annoying quickly. Then going on for some token generations, we got 1 copy of Dragon Queen. This just, all she does is gives us a 5/5 red dragon when another dragon enters battlefield under our control. Then we got 1 copy of Uvar Hellkite. This is how you basically run away with the game. Uvar Hellkite states, whenever a dragon you control attacks, put a 6/6 red dragon on the creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So let's say we're just attacking with Uvar. We will get another dragon. Next turn, okay, we'll attack with both of them. We get 4 dragons. We get 2 more dragons, which equals 4 total, and those can be used as blockers. Flying usually doesn't, you can deal with no decks that don't have flyers. These are scary. They get scary quickly and very dangerous quickly. 1 copy of Dragon's Tempest. This one, whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until enter, giving our dragons haste, making it easier for us to beat the crap out of people. But whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of dragons you control. You could just start playing these and just keep on going. Then 1 copy of Rakdos Charm. This is just, you could use it to exile a graveyard deck whenever you need. Then 1 copy of Chaos Warp, just simple protection. Then 1 copy of Crux of Faith. This one is one of our board wipes. We got a second board wipe in this deck, and that's it for board wipes. Then we got, and this is all for some removal. I forgot to say it. These are all removal cards. God, I am not used to this. 1 copy of Hellkite Tyrant. Just basically, this is the one card that if you're looking to kill the game, or kill a player at least to stop them from doing stuff, this is your card. It basically has flying and trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you gain control of all artifacts that player controls. That's how you do it. All you have to do is play this once, swing with it once at somebody who has not even that much, but if you make a way to be able to, and let's say you hit somebody, then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 more artifacts, you win the game. It has to be on the board, but it basically allows you to use it as a dirty trick to fucking murder people, because if somebody's running with the game and they're controlling the game in every single possible sense, it makes it so that it's impossible for you to do it. Well, screw you. Then we got 1 copy of a Black Dragon. Black Dragon just enters target opponent gets a -3, -3. Target creature opponent controls gets -3. That's it. And then it's a 4/4. So it's a. Then we got our last board wipe. Blasphemous Act just deals 13 damage. So it's going to kill all of our dragons, but we can also just deny it in any way possible. Final pairing. You just searches your library for up to 2 cards. Put 1 of them in your hand, 1 of them in the graveyard. Usually throw your Dragon's Approaches in the graveyard. That's all we want. We want the Dragon's Approach in the graveyard. Mainly so then we can toss these in the graveyard, use them as a resource to for discarding cards, but also use it to get away with the whole entire rest of it. We want to get rid of the Dragon's Approaches in the graveyard unless we are actually activating them. If we're activating them, then fine. I will gladly go from there. But otherwise, going on to our utility lands, or whatever you want to say, starting off with a Bloodstained Mire, and to have a targetable Surge, we got a Blood Crypt and a Rakdos Theater. This is just our pay to life. I forget the land name, but then we got our Surveil land. Surveil lands are pretty fucking busted, but it's useful. For Boring Ruins, just when it enters, it's our reveal land. Then we get our check land, which is just Smoldering Marsh. Then we got a Battle Bond land being Luxury Suites. This comes in tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Haunted Ridge enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. And then, which is our slow land, but I think it's a fast land. Dragon's Scummin enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain. Basically just checking, and then our command tower as our final land. But other than that, we got our last amount of lands. We got 13 for our lands. We got 13 mountains. That's basically 13 mountains. I'm going to just bring this out a little bit more so you guys could see. We got 13 mountains and 11 swamps. That's it for it. That's mainly the land package because I don't want to. There's about 33 lands in the deck, and that works for the deck. I would say I'd recommend doing 35 if you can figure out what to pull out. I haven't figured out what I can pull out yet. I've been deciding and haven't had a full thought yet on this, so relatively this is as far as I got it with the deck. And I'm hoping to figure out what cards actually do better for Florian and how I can make him better. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. Anyways, my name's Trappy, and have a good day.